resources they needed were available. God's provision wasn't just in the gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but in the spiritual peace he provided Joseph when everything around him seemed uncertain. In our lives, we may not always receive a literal gift of gold in our moments of need, but God always provides it for us in ways we don't understand. Sometimes God's provision is a sense of peace that surpasses understanding in the midst of the storm, or the strength to keep going when we feel exhausted. Just like Joseph, we can always trust that God will provide exactly what we need when we need it the most. Whether it's resources, guidance, or the inner peace that only He can offer. The story of the gifts is a reminder that God will always provide for us, no matter how odd or difficult the situation may seem. God can provide for Joseph and his family in the wilderness. He can definitely provide for us in our own struggles and uncertainties. Now, when it comes to the gifts, are there some gifts that God has given you? Joseph was given gifts, but he didn't just let them sit around. He used them for the purposes they were intended for. So what has God given you that you are yet to use for his intended purpose? Maybe you're too afraid to use what he's given you. But I want you to know today that everyone can be used for God's kingdom. Whatever it is, you have gifts that can be used. So when we think about Joseph's life, it seems pretty chaotic. His plans were always turned upside down, and he was constantly on the move, trusting God at every turn. But even in the craziness of it all, Joseph remained faithful. And his life shows that sometimes God allows our plans to be messed up so that we can more fully rely on him. Now, I want to ask you guys, how many of us have had our own plans messed up by God? Maybe we experienced a disruption in our lives, a broken relationship, or an unexpected change in our circumstances. But like Joseph, we always have a choice. We can either try to go back to our own plans, or we can trust God's rewriting of our lives. Joseph shows us that when we trust God, even in the most uncertain and difficult times, he will always be there to provide and guide for us. Now, as we look at Joseph's story, it's important to note, like I said before, that he didn't just experience a one-time rerouting. His entire life was changed because of it. And the amazing thing is, God didn't just reroute his life for the sake of changing Joseph's plan. God used Joseph's obedience to fulfill a greater plan for salvation. In Joseph's faith, Jesus had a father who protected him, cared for him, and raised him in a stable home. Joseph may not have understood why things were happening the way they were, but God's bigger plan was always unfolding. Sometimes God's plan for our lives often unfolds in we don't understand, but we can trust that He is always with us, guiding us, providing for us, even when the road ahead seems unclear. And if we choose to trust Him, He will change our entire lives, constantly rerouting us according to His divine plan. So today, as we reflect on the theme, Rerouted, we should take comfort in knowing that when God interrupts our lives, it's not because He wants to hurt us, but because He always has something better in mind. When we look at Joseph, we can see ourselves, people who have a plan, live in what's familiar, and try to take control of our lives. But what we need to remember is that God always plans for the better. Sometimes the best plans are the ones God interrupts. And Joseph's life was rerouted because God had a greater plan for him. And through Joseph's faith and obedience, God's plan for the world was fully realized. As we reflect on Joseph's life, think about your own journey. What is God calling you to do to trust Him with today? What part of your life feels disrupted or rerouted? And how might God be using that to shape you for something even greater? I challenge you this week, as you hear all the other sermons, to lean into God's rerouting more. Instead of resisting or questioning, choose to trust. Maybe that means stepping out in faith in an area of your life you've been holding on too tightly. Maybe it's deciding to fully obey a calling or stepping into something that scares you. Joseph's life was rerouted for God's great purpose, and so is yours. As the praise team comes up, I want to ask you now, I would like everyone to stand right now, please. I want to ask you guys that if you want your life to be rerouted by God, if you want God to have a part in the decisions of your life, I'm not going to ask you guys to raise your hands or to come to the front or anything, because the reality is you could stand up, you could show your hands, you could do all that right now, and you can continue living your life exactly the same way you did before you came into this room. But I want to ask, as you leave this room and continue each of your lives, I want you to not show me, not show anybody here, but show God that you want to change with the way you live your life. At the end of the day, it's just between you and Him. So any outward signs don't matter. It's just between you and God. Reflect that want to change. that want to have God take over your life, in your lives, starting now.
So throughout this week, we'll be having a theme song after every sermon, and the theme song that we chose is Even If. So please sing along.
They say sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. And right now I'm losing that. Stood on this stage night after night, reminding the broken it'll be alright. But right now, oh right now I just can't. It's easy to sing when there's nothing to bring me down. What will I say when I'm held to the flame like I am right now? I know you're able, I know you can. Save through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know you're able and I know you can. Save through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. It only takes a little faith to move a mountain. Good thing, a little faith is all I have right now. But God, when you choose to leave mountains unmovable, oh, give me the strength to be able to sing. It is well with my soul. I know you're able and I know you can. Straight through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know the sorrow and I know the hurt. All go away if you just say the word. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. You've been faithful, you've been good all my days. Jesus, I will cling to you, come what may. 'Cause I know you're able, and I know you can. I know you're able, and I know you can. Save through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know the sorrow and I know the hurt. It all go away if you just say the word. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. My hope is you alone. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul.
Please bow your heads for prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us all here to another week. I pray that everyone who was here was blessed by the words that were said, and I pray that as we go throughout this week, we'll continue to be rerouted more and more by you. Continue to bless us, protect us, and keep us all safe throughout the day. In your name I pray, amen.
Check.